In a hospital in a large city, there was a young and beautiful doctor named Kiara. She came from a devout Christian family and had already made up her mind to become a doctor because of her love for the medical field and her desire to help others. Kiara was known for her professionalism, intelligence, and kindness. Every patient she treated always felt calm and valued. However, Kiara's life would change after meeting a Muslim woman named Putri. Putri was a young mother who came to the hospital with complaints of severe pain. She was very weak and required intensive care. Kiara was assigned to handle Putri's case. With care and attention, Kiara began to treat Putri. During the few days of treatment, Kiara noticed something different about Putri. Despite her weakness, Putri always appeared calm and hopeful. Kiara often heard Putri praying, both in her hospital room and during therapy sessions. The prayers she recited sounded so sincere, full of hope, and provided a sense of peace. Kiara, who usually didn't think much about spirituality, was impressed. One thing that made Kiara even more curious was how Putri handled her pain. The young woman still smiled, even when the pain came, and always tried to remain patient. "What makes you so strong?" Kiara asked one day. Putri gently replied, "I believe Allah is with me. When I feel pain or fall, I know He always hears my prayers and gives me strength. My faith in Him brings peace to my heart." Those words deeply touched Kiara. She felt there was something different about the way Putri viewed life and faced trials. Kiara began to think more often about Putri's words and how a sick woman could be so peaceful and patient. She began to realize that she had never truly felt at peace, even though she had always tried hard to be a good person. Kiara began to approach Putri more closely, listening more about Islam and how Putri lived her life. Putri patiently explained the beauty of Islam about surrendering to Allah, the importance of patience in facing life's trials, and the peace that comes from prayer. Kiara felt a beauty in these teachings that she had never encountered before. Several weeks after Putri recovered and was discharged from the hospital, Kiara felt increasingly restless. She felt a calling to search for a deeper meaning in life. When she returned home, she began reading the Qur'an and books about Islam. The more she read, the more she felt a peace she had never experienced before. One night, after months of reflection, Kiara sat in her room with the Qur'an open in front of her. In her heart, she felt that she had found what she had been searching for: true peace. Without hesitation, Kiara decided to embrace Islam. With full conviction, she recited the Shahada, bearing witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is His messenger. Kiara's change was not easily accepted by her family. Her Christian family was very shocked and even worried at first. However, Kiara patiently explained that her decision was not due to coercion but because she felt she had found peace and happiness in Islam. Over time, her family began to accept Kiara's decision, albeit with mixed emotions. Kiara began to live her new life with more meaning. She became more enthusiastic about studying religious knowledge and more diligent in worship. She realized that her journey to Islam was an extraordinary blessing, and she was grateful to Putri for showing her the way. Now, Kiara was not only known as a beautiful doctor but also as someone with an extraordinary inner peace. Every patient who came to her felt that they were not just being examined but also given spiritual comfort. Kiara became a living witness that the guidance of Allah can come in many forms, even through a simple relationship between a doctor and a patient. After Kiara embraced Islam, her life changed drastically. She felt calmer and more peaceful in her daily life. Every morning, she began waking up earlier to perform the Fajr prayer, experiencing peace in every prayer she recited. Her new spiritual life added a different color to her identity, not just as a doctor, but also as a person who was more patient and loving. However, her journey was not always easy. Her family, although they had started to accept her decision, still felt anxious and confused about the changes taking place. Her mother, who loved her dearly, often reached out with questions about why she chose to change her religion and whether this decision would make her life better. Kiara answered patiently, "I haven't left the love and affection of my family, Mom. I've only found a deeper peace. I feel closer to God and live a life with more meaning. Over time, Kiera began to notice the differences between her old life and her new one. She found that being a Muslim wasn't just about performing religious rituals, but also living with empathy, gratitude, and love. Yet, despite feeling more at peace, there was still one thing that intrigued her about Putri. Although Putri had recovered and returned to her life, Kiera felt a deeper connection between them, a spiritual bond that made her want to thank Putri directly. She decided to visit Putri at her home, hoping to share her journey of guidance. When Kiera arrived at Putri's house, she was welcomed with a warm smile. Putri looked happy to see Kiera. "Kiera, how are you?" Putri asked gently, as usual. "I'm doing well, alhamdulillah," Kiera replied with a smile. "I came to talk, Putri. There's something I want to share with you." They sat together in the living room of Putri's house, accompanied by a cup of warm tea. Kiera began to tell her how she found peace in Islam and how the teachings of Islam made her feel closer to God. She shared how Putri's prayers during her hospital stay had touched her heart, and how the patience and trust in God that Putri taught her had guided her on her spiritual journey. Putri listened attentively, her eyes shining as she saw the positive change in Kiera. "I'm so happy to hear that, Kiera. Allah is indeed the most merciful, He guides whomever He wills. And we can only strive to seek Him sincerely," Putri said with a gentle smile. Kiera felt grateful to share her story with Putri, the person who had inspired her spiritual journey. Putri had not only provided medical care but also offered Kiera the key to finding a deeper peace. A few months after that meeting, Kiera began to deepen her knowledge of Islam, attending study groups and discussing with Muslim friends who had long known the religion. She felt more confident in her decision and was determined to become a better person each day. At work, Kiera also began to notice the positive impact of her decision. The patients who came to her not only felt they were being treated professionally, but also felt comfortable and valued emotionally and spiritually. Kiera started to make an effort to listen more, be more patient, and show more empathy to every person she cared for. A year later, Kiera had the opportunity to speak at a medical seminar held at the hospital where she worked. In the seminar, she spoke about the importance of a holistic approach to patient care, not just physically, but also emotionally and spiritually. She shared that the well-being of patients depended not only on medical treatment but also on the peace of heart and soul that could be attained through prayer, faith, and spiritual support. As a doctor, our duty is not only to treat the body but also to maintain the balance of the soul and mind of the patient. And for me, Islam teaches a lot about patience, inner peace, and the importance of surrendering to Allah, Kiera said in front of the seminar participants. The seminar participants were impressed by Kiera's perspective, and many appreciated her new approach to the medical field. Kiera felt proud to share her experience and hoped she could help others find the peace she had discovered. On the other hand, Kiera's relationship with her family continued to improve. Although they didn't fully understand her choice, they began to accept that Kiera had found her new path in life. In fact, her mother started to reach out to her more often to ask about Islam and how to understand its teachings. Kiera knew that her spiritual journey was still long, and challenges would surely come. But she was also confident that every step she took, every prayer she recited, would guide her towards a better life. Along with Putri, who had always been an inspiration to her, Kiera felt more ready to live her life with confidence, love, and peace. After several years of living her new life as a Muslim, Kiera increasingly demonstrated her dedication as a doctor. Her medical expertise, combined with her compassionate nature, made her a respected figure among her colleagues and patients at the hospital. However, it wasn't just her medical skills that made Kiera stand out. Her firm belief and holistic approach to patient care were increasingly recognized among her peers. Kiera was often invited to speak at medical seminars, where she shared a new philosophy in the medical field that combined physical, emotional, and spiritual approaches. Many of her colleagues were inspired by how Kiera managed the challenges in her life and work. They admired her calmness in facing pressure, as well as her constant effort to not only heal the body but also bring peace to the soul of her patients. Kiera's success in building strong relationships with her patients and colleagues led to her being considered for a higher position. One day, during a hospital leadership meeting, a major announcement was made. Medica Sajjatara Hospital, where Kiera worked, was in need of a new leader with a vision to take the hospital in a better direction. Kiera had never imagined she would be part of the leadership team. However, when the opportunity arose, Kiera felt that it was time for her to serve on a larger scale. After discussions with several senior colleagues and considering the challenges and opportunities ahead, Kiera accepted the offer to become the CEO of Medica Sajjatara Hospital. This change not only brought great responsibility but also personal challenges. Leading a large hospital with thousands of patients and medical staff was no easy task. However, Kiera had deep life principles that guided her: sincerity, empathy, and integrity. She decided to lead the hospital with an open heart, prioritizing the well-being of patients and the medical team working with her. In the early days of her leadership, Kiera focused on improving the quality of hospital services. She conducted a thorough evaluation of medical procedures, hospital management, and available facilities. Additionally, Kiera introduced training for medical staff on the importance of a more humane approach in caring for patients, including the significance of listening to patient complaints, providing emotional support, and paying more attention to their mental well-being. A hospital is not just a place to heal the physical body, but also a place to bring peace to the soul, Kiera said in her inaugural speech as CEO in front of the entire hospital staff. We are not only dealing with the diseases of the body but also with their hearts and minds. Every patient who comes here must feel welcomed, valued, and safe. With this vision, Kiera began to design new programs that were more integrated with a holistic approach. One of these was the Mental and Physical Health Program, which focused on the importance of maintaining both the mental and physical balance of patients. This program didn't only focus on medical treatment, but also encouraged patients to participate in activities that soothed the soul, such as meditation, reflection, and spiritual support. Kiera also opened spaces for patients to pray or speak with religious counselors who could assist them in their healing process. This decision initially faced some skepticism from certain parties, who felt that this approach was somewhat different from traditional medical methods. However, after seeing the positive impact on patients and the working atmosphere at the hospital, their opinions began to change. Patients who received more emotional and spiritual attention showed faster recovery, and the medical staff felt more inspired to work with greater care. During her tenure, Kiera also innovated in the hospital's technological aspects. She integrated a more efficient hospital management system, making administrative processes smoother and reducing patient waiting times. She also ensured that every patient care room was equipped with facilities that were not only physically comfortable but also provided peace and a refreshing atmosphere for the patients. Meanwhile, Kiera's relationship with her family continued to improve. Her mother, who had initially been worried about Kiera's decision to convert to Islam, now increasingly understood that Kiera had found peace and happiness in her life. In fact, several times, Kiera's mother visited her at the hospital to offer support, even though they still held different beliefs. One of the most proud moments for Kiera was when she was invited to an international event discussing the development of hospitals and holistic healthcare services. Kiera was invited as the keynote speaker to share her experience in leading a hospital with a more humane and spiritual approach. At the event, Kiera spoke about how faith and gratitude played a crucial role in her work as a doctor and a leader. As a doctor, I have learned that we do not only treat the body, but also the soul. At Medica Sajjatara Hospital, we strive to provide care that involves all aspects of the human being, physical, emotional, and spiritual, Kiera said in front of an audience from various countries. Indeed, Kiera's journey from a young doctor to the leader of a hospital is a story of sincerity, courage, and trust in a greater destiny. With Allah's guidance, the support of her loved ones, and her strong belief, Kiera has led Medica Sajjatara Hospital toward a better future, where patients are treated with love and medical staff work with hearts full of empathy. Now, Kiera is not only known as an outstanding doctor but also as an inspiring leader. She has proven that a true leader does not merely guide, but also protects, supports, and empowers everyone around them to become better. As time went by, Kiara's life became more meaningful. In addition to successfully leading Medica Sajadara Hospital, she also found happiness in her personal life. Kiara, who had once been solely focused on her career and spiritual journey, now felt a more complete sense of peace after finding a supportive life partner, a Muslim man named Farhan. Farhan was a young entrepreneur who was successful in the fields of technology and healthcare. They first met at a business seminar organized by the hospital where Kiara worked. Farhan was one of the main sponsors of the event, and after it ended, they had an extensive conversation about their visions for the future, particularly about the importance of public welfare through better healthcare services. That conversation grew into a deeper friendship. Farhan, who greatly admired Kiara's intelligence and dedication, began to appreciate her personality even more. Meanwhile, Kiara felt that Farhan was not only a successful businessman but also a man who was deeply religious, compassionate, and shared a worldview aligned with the principles she held dear. They often talked about many things, about Islam, their dreams of helping others, and how family was an inseparable part of their life goals. Over time, Kiara felt increasingly comfortable with Farhan, and their hearts grew closer. One warm evening, Farhan proposed to Kiara during a simple but meaningful dinner. "Kiara, I want us to build a life together, supporting each other in every step, in work, worship, and family. I want to be part of your life journey. Will you be my wife?" he asked sincerely. Kiara, who was overjoyed and had truly found her perfect partner, replied with love, "Yes, I will, Farhan. I feel that Allah has united us in this beautiful journey. I want to spend my life with you." They married in a simple yet joyful ceremony, surrounded by family, friends, and colleagues. Their marriage not only united two hearts but also strengthened their resolve to live a life filled with love and share blessings with others. After their marriage, their lives were filled with happiness and meaningful busyness. Farhan, with his rapidly growing business, often worked alongside Kiara to develop social programs in healthcare, which combined science and the spiritual values they both believed in. Together, they were committed to creating positive change in society through various social initiatives that focused on both mental and physical health. Kiara felt that her life was now perfect. She was not only a successful doctor and hospital leader but also a loving wife and a hopeful mother. Their life became even more complete when Kiara became pregnant with their first child, which marked the pinnacle of their happiness as a couple. A few months after their marriage, Kiara and Farhan welcomed the birth of a son, whom they named Adam. Adam's arrival transformed their lives into something brighter and more colorful. Kiara felt incredibly grateful because now she could live as a mother who not only raised her child with love but also taught the values she held dear, such as inner peace, patience, and gratitude. Although her role as the director of Medica Sajadara Hospital kept her busy, Kiara always made time for her family. Every morning, before heading to work, she would set aside time to pray with Farhan and spend a few quality minutes with Adam. These moments became very precious to them, as, in addition to being life partners, they were also committed to raising their child in an environment full of love, affection, and faith. Kiara and Farhan always tried to set a good example for Adam. They wanted their child to grow up to be a person full of empathy, to respect others, and to have a close relationship with Allah. Kiara believed that a mother's role was not only to give affection but also to teach her child the values of a good and righteous life. As time went by, their small family grew even more harmonious. Adam grew up to be a cheerful, intelligent child with a curious nature. Kiara and Farhan often spent time together as a family, teaching Adam about the values of Islam, the importance of doing good to others, and the importance of maintaining a balance between this world and the hereafter. As a mother and the leader of a hospital, Kiara felt that her life now had a greater purpose. She was not only focused on career success but also on building a family filled with love and affection. Kiara realized that family was the foundation of everything, and it was there that she found true happiness. One day, after finishing work, Kiara returned home to be greeted by warm hugs from Adam and Farhan. Kiara felt that this was true happiness, a loving husband, a cheerful child, and unwavering faith in every step of her life. With deep gratitude, Kiara knew that her life journey was a priceless blessing. Allah had given her extraordinary guidance, a supportive family, and the opportunity to continue benefiting others. Kiara felt that her life was now complete with all the challenges and happiness that came together.